Yeah.
I'll ask you a very general question. What does
Sure.
it mean to be a man?
Wow. Oh, so powerful.
So, masyadong general pero in these days
Sometimes the
parang
simplest questions are the hardest.
kaya nga.
Men are called to serve
Mm,
because we were designed after Adam, and Adam was the first steward of creation. So when God created Adam, he was in charge of everything. So he was a scientist, artist, and everything. So he was called to take care of all the animals. So parang zookeeper na kakaiba. And he had to make sure that the garden was good.
mm,
And men are like that. We're meant to be stewards of our family, our career, our life. We're meant to take on pressure that is supposed to be insurmountable.
mhm. Minsan may mga nagagalit pag describe natin specifically yung man, gaya ng ginawa natin
Mm.
a few minutes already. Kasi nag-enforce daw tayo ng mga gender stereotypes or social construct.
Mm.
So wala naman daw kasi dapat pinagkaiba yung mga lalaki sa babae. Is this true?
It's no way, because I have the right to say this because I studied
Mm.
behavioral science.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool, cool.
So I really studied it. That's
Okay.
my course in college,
Mm.
and it's really different. Learning styles pa lang eh.
Mm-mm.
Learning style ng men and women are already tremendously different.
Mm.
And then ano pa ba? I do CrossFit. I do a lot of exercises. And so, for example, we have a workout of the day every week. Every day you go to the gym, and there's a written workout of the day. This is what you do, etc. So, a few movements, like 5 to 10 movements, and there's a prescribed weight, recommended weight, RX, ganyan. RX for men would, for example, be 95 pounds barbell.
Okay.
RX for women would be 65. And I asked my coach, my coach, the owner of the box, is the fittest woman on the Philippines. So she's really the winner. Like she competed abroad. And I asked her, Coach, why? Why is it different? So just because of that, and said, you see, JPaul, anatomically, we're designed differently.
Yeah.
Men really have more muscles, and I mean, etc. And I have also, so basically that's it. Scientifically,
Yeah, yeah.
our body structures are already so different. So in a sense, men are designed by nature to take more laborious tasks,
Mm-hmm. True,
if that
true.
makes sense,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's just I mean, measure my muscle compared to my wife's muscle. It might develop more muscle faster compared to my wife, because my wife's body is designed to a woman's body is designed to nurture. That's why the uterus, it's protected well, etc. And that's why women can do multitasking more than men. Why? Because men are designed to be hunters. If you are hunting a lion, you can't multitask because you need all eyes, 120%, on the lion.
Yeah.
And then for example, the wife, the design is, make sure the family's safe, have 2 or 3 children, there are no predators outside because the man is hunting elsewhere. So just those traits and already define that we're very different. Women and men, I studied also neurolinguistics programming, and just the brain aspect, how we're physiologically designed, really, really different. But we may be different physically, emotionally, mentally, but in God's worth or God's dignity, we are equal.
Yes, yes.
We
Amen.
just have different purposes or different roles. Just to answer your question.
That's true, that's true. Ang lagi kong example dito is 2 plus 2 and 2 times 2 are different equations, but they're equal. So they all answer 4. So yun yung example. It's the same sa man and woman, which are different but equal. Kasi for some people,
yes.
hindi nila ma-imagine kung paano ba maging different but equal. But yeah, yun yung example.
Yes.
2 plus 2 and 2 times 2 are equal but different at the same time.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yep. Uh, we hear the term toxic masculinity these days, and if you search the term, it says that it's the traditional masculine norms or traits that harm men, women, and society. Then these traits are usually competitiveness, being stoic, showing strength, among others. Then the psychological American Psychological Association or APA even released guidelines on dealing with men and boys to address this. Is there a problem with men and boys or on masculinity?
Definitely. Just because we have a world issue. I think we talked about this in the Narrow Door podcast on manhood.
Okay.
There's a father wound. There is a loss of fathers,
Mm.
or there are not enough dads who show up
Mm.
in the house who raise their family really well. So we have wrong role models on manhood.
Mhm.
For example, most men who are our idol, Vito Corleone, Michael Corleone, Godfather.
Mm.
So it's or and then the shows that we watch, the what is magnified by media and the story, that's it. But if you see, even in movies, we still love the man that becomes vulnerable, needs help, that rises up because he was helped and becomes humbler or more vulnerable, because there's a real need for it. And toxic masculinity is really hard. I've experienced it in a sense, I didn't share my feelings. I thought I was superior. And what a very simple, the most basic, I think, example of toxic masculinity is seeing women as objects, targets, and stuff like that.
That's true. Si Obama mismo nagsabi na ang number one factor of kids being in jail and dropping out sa school is growing up without a father. What's the extent of the damage to a kid who lacks this kind of role model? And what can be done
Gosh.
if you already are in a position na wala ang tatay mo, or may tatay ka pero hindi siya masyadong magandang role model?
Yeah. I mean, this has broken a lot of people. Well, basically, the most obvious is the cycle repeats from generation to generation to generation to generation, because we follow what we see. So if as kids, what we see growing up, we think it's right because that's what our parents do. We trust our parents, so we think we subconsciously think that's okay, so we follow it. We do it to also ourselves. It's very simple. It's really going back to, I guess, traditional values. The old-fashioned values will never be irrelevant. Technology will change the how, etc., but the values, kindness, family, patience, charity, all of those things will always be relevant, whether you're a Christian or not.
Actually, yung sa masculinity, yung toxic masculinity, yung may traits yung men like competitiveness, yung pagiging strong. They're good traits if directed for good. And tama ka, mali nga yung yung pag-objectify ng women. And sometimes doon napupunta eh. Doon tayo dinadala ng society natin or ng media sometimes. And it takes a lot of like prayer, sacrifice for men to do what is good with those manly traits.
I mean, ako, bro, I just for example, I do business, and I'm in a leadership. I'm in a few leadership roles. And as a man, I have this competitive side that I like winning. I like the feeling of winning. Even when I'm working out, I like pushing I was so happy earlier this year before pandemic.
Uh,
I hit my record in deadlift, which was 300 plus pounds.
uh,
And I was just so happy because it took me like a year and a half to get there. So
uh,
I felt so strong. But that's it. I just like the feeling of winning. At home,
mm-mm.
I'm my wife's servant. I'm my son's servant. Because it's not in my agenda
Mm-mm.
to put my wife and son down.
Mm-mm.
Because that's toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
if I have to be right all the time towards them.
Yeah.
It's just me. I like that feeling of winning.
Yeah.
Even when the ministry people badmouth me or badmouth the ministry or just employees do that. But then what's the point? How will we win if we're always, just like toxic, as
Yeah.
you said?
That's right. That's right.
Jesus Christ said to serve.
Mm-mm.
The least, those who serve will be the biggest, and that's it. That's it.
True, true.
Nandiyan na yung blueprint eh.
And
So
I agree. Si Jesus
Yun.
Christ ang prime example talaga natin kung paano maging tunay na man. Because whenever the question on manhood arises, I only think of the perfect man to emulate, yung the person of Jesus Christ. Kasi ibang tao,
That's right.
naisip nila parang sobrang nice ni Jesus, isang hippie, pero may strength din sa character ni Christ. He's assertive.
yeah,
Nung nagalit siya sa
Yeah.
for desecrating the temple.
yeah,
And apart from that, yung most manly thing that he did na dapat i-emulate ng mga kalalakihan is yung his sacrifice on the cross.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
part of being a man, I think, is to sacrifice. May mga lalaki na addicted sa video games, pero nakakalimutan nila yung responsibility nila. And if you can sacrifice some time from, let's say, that video game, you could spend it sa church, sa family. And yun
That's
tingin
right.
ko yung ano.
That's right.
Eh,
right.
Yeah. And that all masculinity is bad. Kasi yung masculinity, it's what you'll use to protect your family. Kunwari may burglar na pumasok
That's right.
sa ano.
I agree. Yes,
Yeah. So,
definitely, 100%.
So, I think if you use it for good, not in a
Yes.
toxic way.
Let me share example. So my vision is, for of course, the ministry, just really this is God's kingdom. But really the practical side is, so I have a business. The competitive side in me
Mhm.
is I really want to grow the business. Why? Because I want to provide for my employees.
Mm.
I want
Oh,
them
yeah. That's
to have better lives. That's the competitiveness inside me.
Yeah.
I will
yeah.
do what it takes to really grow the business,
Mm-mm.
because one day I want them to like have better lives. So that's I guess that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Putting that masculine strength, that fire, into positive use
Yes,
or
yes.
better use.
That's right.